You can watch him to your right. He's working the throttles on that wing station. A lot of speed moving astern, huh?
It's only using one engine. Now
Looks like they're both in reverse, right? You can see how he's steering through the engines. Not using the rudder right now. I'm sure I'll turn the rudder part over to spin the bow to get out of here. There you go, one forward, one reverse.
see it happen from this side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because they're not cables. It's just air.
This ought to be a great day for photographs with a little bit of overcast. Lily Bonner. That's huge. Looks like a total it's kind of nice to see trailer
So the Port of Long Beach is the second busiest container port in the United States. Together with our neighbor, the Port of Los Angeles, we bring over 40% of everything that enters into the United States. Last year, the amount of goods that entered and the imports and exports were valued at about $200 billion. So you heard that right, $200 billion. There was a new survey that was done, and it stated that it wasn't 1 in 8 jobs, rather 1 in 5 jobs that are impacted by our port here in the city of Long Beach. And across the nation, we impact 1.2 million jobs.
So as we turn into the Southeast Basin, this is my favorite time to mention the Green Port Policy. So in 2005, the Port of Long Beach shifted its priorities to becoming a zero emissions port. So as we see towards the left of the boat, the NYK line ship, to put ships into size, the largest ship to be called at the Port of Long Beach this year, let's start with 2018. The largest ship to be called in 2018 would be the Benjamin Franklin at 18,500 TEUs. If you were to stand it upright, it would be as tall as the Empire State Building. And it would be as wide as the 405 freeway both directions. So again, as I mentioned, that was 2018. Now, to date, the largest ship to be called, which was earlier this year, would be a 19,500 TEU ship. So, yeah. So again, the largest ship to be called in North America to date would be a 19,500 TEU ship. Another incentive that we have here at the port is going to be the shore power, their engines, and plug into the electricity at the terminal. It is equivalent to taking off to 42,000 cars off of the road when plugged in. So I had a question on how long does it take to either load or unload a ship. It would take about 2 to 4 days. It would take about 2 to 4 days to load and unload a ship, obviously depending on size and how many containers are staying here at the port or going to a different port. So we're going to be passing Pier G to the right-hand side of the boat. The question that we have fairly often is the port a 24-hour port? My answer is yes and no. So the reason why I say yes is because we do have the capacity, or terminal operators do have the capacity to work 24-hour turnaround. But in introducing the Green Port policy, we've seen a drastic increase in wildlife and sea life since then. Oh look, they're waving. See how the cranes are going up and down. The crane arm. So in regards to the port being a 24-hour port, there is a first and second shift, a morning and afternoon. The third shift is very expensive, very, very expensive. So and another question that we get fairly often is, for the containers that you see on this ship, how do they stay in place? Well, there is a locking mechanism that interlocks between each of the containers. To the right of the boat, we have our petroleum coke sheds. This is going to be the top export by weight and by size. And the reason why this terminal looks a lot different than a lot of others is because it is covered in all operations. And by covering the petroleum... Yes, I'll mention it when we come around. But for that, it's going to be Morton salt. That's going to be industrial salt, so not the tabletop salt that we all know and love. It was pretty, very interesting. So the reason why they leave it out is because the salt, it looks very grainy, but if you hold your hand into a fist, that's how large one of the salt pieces are. So as is, when the rain comes, when the rain or wind comes, it does not get affected. But they do have different types of salt in that facility. It's going to be for industrial usage, so water softener and for roadways as well, food preservation as well. So I had a question of what is this orange ship? I must say orange is my favorite color, and I hope this is orange. I'm colorblind as well. It looks orange. It looks like an orange popsicle nonetheless. So this is going to be our row ship. Roll on, roll off. So in this ship, it's going to be cars that are transported from China, from wherever else, and coming here to the port of Long Beach. So we have many car dealers, car companies who reside here at the port, from Tesla to Nissan, Toyota, some Porsches as well. I'll make sure to mention when that time is, so if you want to jump off and grab a car for you, I'll tell you what the time is. So a ro-ro ship is essentially a floating garage, a floating parking garage. And they can hold anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 cars per ship. You don't see these ships too often, so I'm glad you're able to see them up close. And as LA gained a new soccer team, Los Angeles Football Club, as they were building the stadium, a lot of the parts were shipped from China as is. So a lot of the stadium parts were massive. In 2014, after our survey, we found 132 acres the 132 acres of kelp around our water. So again, 2014 to 2019, in our initiatives, our green initiatives only increased since then. So that goes to show that the Port of Long Beach is very much conscious on what we're doing to home to our migratory birds, where we even have speakers inside the trees calling out to birds. Not a lot of human interaction goes within this island.
This island
And on the tip of the island, we also have an air monitoring station, which monitors the air 24/7. You can actually check the air quality at any time of the day. We have one air since 1924. And what they do is that 2 miles outside of the breakwater, they load the boat and they maneuver the boat to where they maneuver the ship and they maneuver it to where the ship needs to go for its appointment. And it used to be a Pier Point Landing. So, right behind Jacobson Port Pilot as well is our JCCC building, our Joint Command and Control Center. This is going to be our security facility that opened post 9/11. And if you think of any, for the most part, the agencies that are in this building, I like to say that if you can think of it, we have it. So we have FBI, police, fire, borders, customs protection. We also have a $1.5 billion project. We are currently on phase 3 of 3 phases. We began this project in 2016 and are projected to be completed by the end of next year. So 2016 to 2020, we are currently on phase 3. So last year, the Port of Long Beach had a record-breaking year of 8.1 billion TEUs in and out of the port. Again, the Port of Long Beach had a record-breaking year last year of 8.1 billion TEUs in and out of the port. Long Beach Container Terminal by itself, if you were to take it out, it'd be compared to the 6th busiest port in the entire nation. Again, the Port of Long Beach is the 2nd busiest port within the nation. Port of LA is the 1st busiest port in the nation, not by a lot though, so just by a little. And if you were to take Long Beach Container Terminal out and compare it to a port size, it'd be compared to the 6th busiest port in the entire nation. So at full capacity, it would be importing and exporting around 3 to 4 million TEUs with 12 ship-to-shore cranes. And as I mentioned, ship-to-shore cranes, if these cranes getting shipped to shore, and it wouldn't be the Long Beach Container Terminal. I'm not entirely sure. I forgot which terminal the ship-to-shore cranes were just at. But you see 3 fully built cranes, and it ships. The ship comes pretty much right where these container ships are, and essentially it's a plug and play from there once they slide it over. And another thing about these cranes too is that they work. The efficiency is a lot higher than a lot of the other cranes that you see. So a lot of the other cranes that we've seen, or all the other cranes that we've seen so far, can either pick up 2 20-foot equivalents at once, 20-foot equivalent units at once, or 1 40-foot equivalent unit at once. These cranes can pick up 4 20-foot equivalent units at once, or 2 40-foot container units at once. So as you can see to the right of the boat though, we've already finished dredging, piling, and right now what they're doing is laying out the land to finish phase 3 of our project. So the Long Beach Container Terminal project is converting 2 older terminals. So the Port of Long Beach uses 0 tax dollars. The Port of Long Beach uses, as Alejandro mentioned in the beginning, the port uses 0 tax dollars, and how we make our money is by leasing the land. So we are a land leasing port.
So it looks like it's hooked up to this exhaust.
All the ships that come to the Port of Long Beach have to plug into our electricity. If they do not have the capacity or the ability to plug into our shore, what they have is this contraption right here, which pretty much covers up the pile, so the emissions doesn't continue on within the 2 to 4 days that they're here, and they're able to use the resources that we have on our terminal to power the ship as the ship. As we know that if you imagine leaving your car parked in the driveway, warmed up, and then engines are running. You can imagine how much emissions and how much pollution, how much gas you're wasting too. So with contraptions like this, we're able to contain some of that pollution, or most of that pollution at least. But this is definitely a smaller ship that we see for Costco shipping. This ship can hold up to 5,000 TEUs, so definitely a lot smaller than the ships that we've seen. But this OOCL ship that you see right ahead of us, how many TEUs do you think that this ship can hold? Anybody guess how many TEUs? Oh, perfect. So if you look to the right of the boat, you can see this crane picking up. Is he picking up two? You can see this crane picking up one of the two 40-foot equivalent units. And what they do is that the crane picks up the containers, they bring it to the back, and there's actually another crane in the back that drops it into the AGV, again, the automated guided vehicles. They're driverless vehicles that ran off a program. So if you look to the right of the boat right now, we see one of these AGVs. Again, they're driverless trucks that go where they need to go, ran off of programs. So the thing with these AGVs is that they're so smart that even when their battery is running low, they take itself to the power station, replaces this battery, and goes back right to where it needs to go through the programs. So again, if you look to the right of the boat, you can actually see one of the back crane lowering the container to the AGV. And from the AGV, it'll take itself to the sorting cranes. If you look at the back, you see these cranes that are red, white, and blue as well. You can see some of the numbers 17, 18, 19, 20. Those are actually going to be ran off of programs as well. So no one's maneuvering the sorting cranes or the AGVs. Oh, and also, if you want to come up to the front and take a few pictures, you definitely have this opportunity to.
For those of you, because of the size of the boat, if you'd like to come out here and take a look at what Anthony's talking about up front, we have the AGVs here for you to see.
That's worth the whole price of admission right there.
So, they are sent over to the battery changing station, which is to the left of the boat. There's a white building there. That is where the AGVs will drive themselves to have the batteries changed. So the manager said it takes 6 to 6.5 minutes on the dot charge. So it takes 8 to 10 hours to charge those batteries. Okay, so that OOCL vessel, these are sister ships that arrive weekly. There's 6 ships. So every 42 days, they're telling me that the same ship will arrive. And they are 8,888 TE. Can anybody tell me why 8,888? Yes, 8 is a lucky number in China. And the nice thing about having those sister vessels is they have the same layout, so it's easier for the workers to become very familiar with working on these ships. So to our right here is Cemex, cement company. It shut down during the recession in 2009. It recently reopened, but each of those silos can hold about 50,000 tons of cement.
That's to the right of the boat. We have an older looking building. The trains, electricity, things like that. How do you think that we imported and exported things from the port by hand? How long do you think it took? Any guesses?
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. About 1.5 to 2 weeks to unload and load everything by hand. And this is actually where they would store it way back when. So right in front of us, we have the Gerald Desmond Bridge, and right behind it is the Gerald Desmond Bridge Replacement Project. So talking about the Gerald Desmond Bridge, it opened up in 1968 and was actually only supposed to be up for 20 years. This bridge was built right after the pontoon bridge. So again, this Gerald Desmond Bridge was built in 1968. And again, 20 years later, it's still up, and 2019, and it's still up. So nonetheless, this bridge is falling apart just a little bit. If you look to the right and the left, you see these black nets. These are going to be called diapers. They're there to catch any falling debris or concrete from the bridge. The current clearance that we're going down the current clearance that we're entering right now is going to be 155 feet, while the new bridge is going to be 205 feet. So for the current Gerald Desmond Bridge, as we know, if you've been across this bridge, it's a 2-lane bridge on both sides. So, for example, if a truck were to come, 15% of the entire nation's cargo passes through this bridge. So imagine how many trucks that is. Now, if you imagine a truck breaking down, stalling, or anything in the middle of the bridge, you can imagine how far traffic would be backed up. So, talking about the new Gerald Desmond Bridge, it's going to actually have 4 lanes both ways. Now, this lane is with the new bridge, we have a safety lane projected to be complete by mid next year, so almost complete. The demolition will not start, for the old bridge at least, the demolition will not start until the new bridge is complete, so it does not interrupt the flow of traffic. With 155 feet clearance, we can only have the smaller ships enter into the port, in the back of the port, the original Port of Long Beach. But as smaller ships come, the quantity also increases because we can only fit so many. And these towers that you see to the left and the right for the new bridge, they're going to be 515 feet high. Again, 515 feet high. These are going to be the tallest structures all throughout Long Beach. And as I mentioned that this bridge will be a cable-stayed bridge, it's projected to have LED lights as well, so you're able to see this bridge from afar, being the tallest structure and the cables being LED. This is, as you probably know, all these waters is going to be open waters. So, like I mentioned, security and also safety are going to be the top priorities here at the Port of Long Beach. So, as we have open waters at the Port of Long Beach, we do have our Harbor Patrol or Coast Guard shuffling people out of the red zones, because one day of missed operations costs about $1 billion to the Port of Long Beach. So again, one day of missed operations costs about $1 billion to the Port of Long Beach. So we're making sure that even though that we claim that these are open waters, that there are still red zones, and that no operations are interrupted. So to the right of the boat, we have Madsen. So as we turn around, everyone will get to see Pier C, which is ran by Madsen. This is going to be the Pacific Islands' lifeline. This is the only U.S. flag carrier at the port, which means that at any time the ships that are made by U.S. hands and by U.S. material can be used for the military. So to the right of the boat right now, we also have an oil tanker along with some tugboats. So again, and also for those who are a long time residents at the Port of Long Beach, the port again opened up in 1911, and this building with the 4 silos that you see in the port stocks, that is